Prepare to have your mind blown in this episode.
We get some clash between the way we live our life and the way our hormones want to live. As a cycling woman, you aren't able to get pregnant every single day.
As soon as we learn how to work with our bodies, we can set ourselves up for success. I think this is the potential to change many women's lives. In today's episode, you're going to hear me have a beautiful conversation with someone who was my naturopath. Her name is Tayla. She is incredible. She's got so much wisdom. She is a naturopath, a nutritionist. She is currently also studying psychology. And honestly, if you feel like you've been a little bit disconnected from your body, your hormones, perhaps even not really understanding how stress plays out in your life on a physiological, physical, mental level, Tayla has got so much wisdom to share. Enjoy the episode. I'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Resonance, a podcast for ambitious, heart-led humans craving more balance, depth, and aliveness in their lives. I'm your host, Vic, health coach, yoga teacher, facilitator, and fellow high achiever, learning to live in tune with my nervous system, not against it. And this space is here to remind you that you can have it all. The career, the success, the fulfillment, all aligned with your truth. Through honest conversations, expert insights, and practical tools, we'll explore how to work with your body, mind, emotions, and spirit, not against them. And the best part? You don't have to stay stuck in survival mode to get there. Because true well-being is not about being perfect. It's about being in resonance. Let's dive in. Welcome to today's episode of Resonance. So the guest we've got on today, her name is Tayla, and she was my naturopath until I asked her to come on this podcast, and we decided to kind of, close our patient and naturopath relationship so that we can share her wisdom in this professional scope. And really, she is the person who guided me through so much of my journey. I first met Tayla through a mutual connection when I was dealing with my chronic skin condition, where, as if you've been around for a little while and you listen to some of the first episodes, I'll link up episode 2, I think it is, that I share my story in. You'll know that I had a really massive skin flare-up and a lot of issues with basically no diagnosis and no way to be helped. And then I went to see Tayla, and she gave me a really alternative and holistic view of everything that was going on. A lot of what you will hear in today's episodes are some of the nuggets that really blew my mind when I was working with her. And I'm pretty certain that it is with a lot of her help and guidance throughout my journey that I have really been able to fully recover from my skin condition. She then helped me come off 12 years of being on the hormonal contraceptive pill. And she then helped me, heal my cycle, optimize my nutrition. She's an absolute incredible just person, kind human, but also she's got so much incredible wisdom to share. And I tell you what, prepare to have your mind blown in this episode. There's things about learning about the cycle and myths and things that we aren't necessarily taught in school, or taught to, for example, thinking that we can be this fertility clinic and get pregnant anytime during our cycle. That is such a myth. We talk about hormonal contraception and alternative non-hormonal options that aren't actually really commonly known out there. Not even so much so as when I went to see a doctor for it. That wasn't mentioned to me until I saw Tayla. She also is going to share a little bit about the role of stress and how that rakes wreaks havoc on the body and so much more. So get cozy, maybe go for a mindful walk. If you're driving, please drive safe and enjoy the episode. Welcome to Resonance, Tayla. Thank you so much for coming on board and joining me here.
That is absolutely okay. I've been looking forward to it all week. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, me too. And actually, I forgot to mention it earlier, but I was thinking of you this morning and I'm like having my little dandelion root tea, which you recommended way back when.
Oh, I'm so pleased to hear. That's so good.
So we'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, that just came to me. So I've also been looking forward to this. And, we've worked together for a few years now. And I am just so excited for you to share your voice and your message and your story with people who are right now where I was when I probably first came to see you, really stressed out, potentially some physical symptoms showing up and already giving those early warning signs and perhaps feeling a little bit lost of where to from here and what's next. So before we dive in, could you just give us a little bit of an intro? Like, who are you? What do you do? Where are you from? Just Tayla.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. Well, my name is Tayla and I am a naturopath and a nutritionist. And I'm really interested in women's health space. So anything related to fertility. And I don't mean specifically fertility as in making babies, just anything related to that. So anything to do with, I suppose, the uterus is probably more accurate, and the hormones and the lifestyle that comes with that, and with being a woman in general. So yeah, as a naturopath, we do a lot. I mean, we like to look at the body from a very holistic perspective. We use a lot of tools like lifestyle counseling and use our understanding of the body and the mind to kind of help coach people in some ways through their situation and kind of improve their well-being. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah, so that's mostly what I do. I suppose a little bit more about me is that I have a practice. It's called Tailor-Made Nutrition.
So good, by the way. How did you come up with that name? I mean,
thank you. Yeah, I wish I could take the credit, but it was a magical friend of mine who came up with it, I guess, in a stroke of genius. But yeah, I had to take it. I thought, wow, this is a great play on words.
So good. Do they get royalties for every client? No.
They wish. They do wish, but no. Yeah, so Tailor-Made Nutrition, it was started or founded maybe 5 years ago now. I have a practice in Auckland on the North Shore and online, and I absolutely love what I do. I wish I could do more of it at the moment, but unfortunately my time's taken up a little bit by other pursuits, let's say, in the realm of health and well-being.
Are studying right now, aren't you? You're on your way to your master's, is that right?
Yeah. Doing some psychology studies, which, have very much influenced the way I practice. So if I start talking a bit about psychology through our discussion, then just know that it's very much in the forefront of my mind.
Yes, I'm all about it. Like, please do. It's so cool, like seeing your evolution as well. Because I don't think you were studying when we first met, and now, when we used to work together, I really saw you start to weave in some of the things that you were learning from your post-grad, and I was like,
oh, great. Oh, I'm glad you noticed.
Yes. And
awesome.
So right now you're writing your paper, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm doing a research writing thesis, and it's on a topic that I'm really passionate about, which is related to women's health, and it's on people living with endometriosis. Very big topic, but specifically about their sleep. So at the very moment, I'm just diving into the world of research about sleep as it relates to endometriosis and other chronic illness, which is just, a lot.
It's so important. I was going to say it's so powerful. And what a synchronicity as well, because I literally wrote a newsletter this morning about sleep. So
Oh,
it's quite
no way.
interesting.
Wow, look at that timing.
Yes, there you go. I mean, it's as I kind of wrote this morning, it's the foundation for everything. Like as soon as sleep falls off the table, I don't know about you, but I just completely I know that's when the red lights turn on. It's like danger zone, because it's hard to function when you're not getting enough and or good quality sleep.
That's it. That's exactly what I'm finding out, and I keep getting reminded of, as the years go on in this health space, let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those foundations of health are so important, and sleep often is so neglected, and sometimes is like one of the first things to go,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that cycle of like poor sleep, negative affects the following day, leads to more poor sleep, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's really influential.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm sure you find in your work too with your clients. It can
Yeah.
be very impactful.
Yes. I mean, in this modern world, we tend to overcomplicate things. We're like, give me this new miracle drug, or what 18-day fasting protocol do I need to go on? When it's like, actually, like, how's your sleep? Are you eating real food? Are you moving your body? Are you drinking water? Like, let's just
Yeah,
start there.
yeah. So true. So
Yeah.
true.
Oh wow, I love that. And it's yeah, really keen to hear whenever it feels right for you to weave in, if you feel like us an early sneak peek of kind of what's coming through your research. That's super cool. I mean, I just recently finished my postgrad as well. As I decided to put hold on that and not pursue the masters for now, just as I kind of focus on getting Live in Health up and running. But yeah, I know kind of what it's like when your head's in the game and you're all in the papers. And so if there's any kind of wisdom that shines through, like I'm all about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm happy to share anything about sleep and endo from what I'm discovering, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously I'm still a student in this space, but
Yeah,
trust
but
me,
we're all students of life. You
that's
probably
so
know
true.
more about it than the average person. And I think, like, before we start to nerd out in the science, I also do want to ask you on a personal front, like, what is one thing that doesn't show up in your official bio that you'd be happy to share about yourself?
Oh, good question. My official bio as in like a naturopath.
Naturopath, nutritionist, student, kind of the
Hmm.
things we generally say. And I always like to throw this curveball in. It's like, so what's something not many people would know if they just like found you on the internet?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I guess a bit of a funny thing about me, that not many people know is that I love to dance. I have a bit of
Ooh.
a history with dance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, love a dance class. It's one of the things that I keep coming back to as the years go on. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love it, and it brings me so much life. And I think everyone should dance more, honestly.
Yes. My goodness. I mean, there's actual studies that have been done about the psychological benefits of dance. And
And
like,
moving your body, I love it.
it's huge. What's your go-to dance style? Is there like one that you prefer over another?
I've dabbled in various types over the years, but I think at the moment it's probably more of like a contemporary style of dance that I like the most. But who knows? Like
Mm-hmm.
I trust me, I love a hip hop dance, even though I'm like, tall, lanky white girl, but I do love
Welcome to the club. It's hard with these long limbs, isn't
it. Just,
it?
yeah, flopping about.
Yeah, I feel you. I've had my fair share of embarrassing moments in front of the dance hall. I'm right now playing with the idea of like a burlesque class because that sounds kind of fun.
Ooh, awesome.
Mm.
Have you done
Mm.
one before?
No, I've done pole once, but the skin burns were just not up my alley.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, well, it's just part of it." Because I thought it was like such a cool workout, such a great way to like, experience your body in a different way. But then I saw kind of the people who were doing it regularly, and it was painful. No, no, thank you. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you get used to it." No, I'm good, thanks.
Ooh, yeah. No, I agree with you there. I've only been to one class as well,
Mhm.
and I was left with bruises.
Yeah.
But I do love the amount
Mhm.
of strength and coordination that comes with the skill of pole.
Mm.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Hats off. Like so much respect to the women that do that. But no, not for me.
Yeah,
So we'll try burlesque, see how that goes. I'll keep you posted.
nice. Yeah, that sounds great.
Amazing. So, yeah, I'd love to hear as we kind of, learn a little bit more about you and your field of work and research. How did you get to what you're doing today? Like how did your journey unfold?
Uh, it kind of started in a not a very dramatic fashion. I wish I had a big, story that led me here, but honestly, I think I realized that my story is probably similar to a lot of others that ended up here, and it started with me and my own health issues, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just trying to find a way to resolve them. So, for a bit of context, I was in my early 20s and I was traveling the world, and I was dealing with a lot of health issues um, relating to my hormones. So I had uh, probably like what would be considered like moderate acne at the time,
Mm-hmm.
um, which at that age just completely it has a huge effect on how you see yourself and how you see the world.
Yeah.
I had period troubles, like a lot of period pain and
Mm.
irregular cycles, and had been given a diagnosis of PCOS, polycystic
Mm-hmm.
ovarian syndrome. Um, and when I consulted the doctors about it, I didn't really have many options in terms of treatment or management, uh,
Mm-hmm.
aside from, of course, going on the oral contraceptive pill, which for me at the time, I had been on it and I was almost convinced that it was part of the reason why I ended up with these symptoms. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, and at that point, I
Yeah.
had no reason to connect them other than just the timing of events that
Mm-hmm.
kind of got me interested in, um, yeah, how they related to each other. But yeah, it was honestly out of my frustration about not having the answers that I wanted. Like, why do I have these problems and why is my acne not going away? Really, that's what
Mm-hmm.
it boiled down to.
Yes, yes. And rather than seeking kind of resolve in the next miracle face cream or whatever, you kind of looked inside and you're like, no, there's probably more to this, and which is what led you to where you are today.
It did, yeah. At least it started off the journey, and it led
Mm-hmm.
me to enroll in College of like Natural Therapies. But I tried all the things that I'm sure a lot of people with those similar kind of concerns could relate to. Like I did like a year of facials and all the fancy microneedling and peels and
Yeah.
all the treatments, right? I drank
Mm-hmm.
all the water. I tried to do all the things that you can think of, all the ointments and creams, but wasn't really seeing a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Little differences in my skin, but not really many changes in my cycle and
Mm-hmm.
the pain that I was dealing with on a monthly basis. Um, so yeah, started my studies in naturopathy and then decided, hey, look, this is really interesting. I'm kind of interested in this nutrition side of things. So continued
Mm-hmm.
down there for a little bit and then it's
Yeah.
sort of evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And similarly in my kind of transition or evolution to psychology study, um, it was sort of similar, but it was more about the clients that I saw
Mm-hmm.
um, at the time. I started realizing that although naturopaths, we work in this beautiful holistic space, which I love, or the way that we look at the body is through a holistic lens,
Mm-hmm.
um, the tools that we are, uh, what's the word, like we have available to us to use to
Mm-hmm.
support clients
Mm-hmm.
are heavily with nutrition, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much my area, and a bit of lifestyle support and counseling
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibes,
Mm-hmm.
and of course nutraceuticals, so like natural products, herbal medicine,
Mm-hmm.
vitamins and minerals. But I felt like they were making good changes in people from what I could see, and I felt great as a practitioner to be able to support people like that. But I always felt like there's more that could be done in the
Mm-hmm.
psychological space,
Mm-hmm.
and it was working with a lot of people with endometriosis that really did flick the switch for me and go,
Yeah.
wow, okay, chronic illness is
Mm-hmm.
just such a space where your perspective and your mindset and your psychology is really important. And
Yeah.
I didn't have the tools to be able to help people in that kind of way. So honestly, that's really what led me to study further. And here I am
Yeah. And
in
here
the
you
thick of
are.
it.
Exactly. And like you're making your holistic practice even more holistic, right? Like the mental health is just as important as our physical and emotional and spiritual health. And you're really kind of bringing more tools into your little tool belt, or I guess probably quite large tool belt at this stage. By the way, I just wanted to say your skin looks amazing. So
Oh,
throughout that whole journey, because you kind of you mentioned you were struggling with the acne and the I guess mainstream solutions weren't working for you. What was it that finally shifted the dial for you personally?
I wish I could say it was just one thing, and I
Mm.
can attribute all my health changes to that. But
Mm-hmm.
as like most things, there's just so many factors that played
Yeah.
into it, and it took a matter of years for me. And that's not to
Mm.
say that's the case for everyone, but um, for me, stress was a huge part of it. Stress, I think most people think of as like, oh, just a bit of overwhelm while you've got a big to-do list. But
Mm.
it's so much more than that. It can be psychological stress, physical stress,
Yeah.
yeah, just day-to-day stresses of life, all of that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. So I think through my studies and there's a bit of burnout in there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gosh,
Been
yeah,
there.
been
Mm-hmm.
there. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah. So, what I'm hearing you say is it was a broad range of tools and support and consistent, doable steps over time, right? Because I love that you said the fact that it took you years because that's the reality. Like, we live in this TikTok culture where everyone's expecting miracles in like a 30-second video. Um, I don't know if they're even shorter on TikTok. I don't use it, but
Good for you.
some
Good for you
something
staying
like
on.
that.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to go on for business purposes, but I'm still battling that at the moment. And yeah, because we are cyclical beings, right? It takes 12 months for us to go around the sun. And these habits, they take time to ingrain. Even you mentioned like your skin, correct me if I'm wrong, because you'll be more of an expert on this than I am, but I'm pretty sure our skin renews like every 90 days or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you start cleaning up your lifestyle and all the things, you're probably not going to see the immediate effects of that for at least 3 months. And that's 3 months of being consistent on the outside. So yeah, really grateful that you mentioned that because yeah, so many people get discouraged because they don't see results in like a few days or a couple weeks. And that's just not how it works.
And I think another important thing to note is that, like you said, um, there's a lot of different things that need to be consistent in order for change to be made sometimes. And yeah, that takes a lot of time. Um,
Mm,
realistically, in the perfect world, we might be able to alter so many things about our lifestyle or our mindset like this and stick with
mm-hmm.
it. But we're also humans, we are influenced by so many things and tempted by various different things that might just yeah make our path a little bit more complicated. So
Mm,
yeah,
exactly.
sometimes it can take your time, but
Small doable steps over time. Like
that's it.
that's what I keep coming back to be honest, with like everything I've learned about behavior change and motivational interviewing. Like the reason so many of us fail on with some goals or whatever that we set ourselves is because A, we set them too high, and B, we expect unrealistic outcomes,
That's
like
so true. Yeah.
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 And so you sharing this, yeah, really just brings it back to the really real. And you mentioned as well kind of the influences of your cycle and your journey with hormonal birth control, which I've been like awaiting, so excited to talk to you about this, because this is the woman who helped me like heal my cycle, you know?
Oh gosh, it was you that made the changes.
Yeah, yes, and you really supported me at the time. So I guess, like, just for a little bit of context for anyone who might not know the story, I came to you kind of in the midst of dealing with my skin flare-up condition, and I saw you after seeing like endless doctors and specialists. I think I remember like bombarding you with all the letters, and they were prescribing me antibiotics and steroids and things kind of left, right, and center. And I finally felt like you were the first person to kind of sit down, take the time, and rather than get the prescription pad out, you really took the time to get to the root cause and hear what was going on. And just that, like, as you say, on the psychological front and what you're diving into now, like, I kid you not, that initial consult in itself, just having someone hear you did so much, I think, already on like deeper levels. So my eternal gratitude to you for that, first of all.
So pleased to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess I digress slightly, because where I was going to go is the birth control piece. So I was still on the pill when I first saw you. And around that time, I recall already feeling like I needed to come off for various reasons. It just felt like it was contributing to my skin condition. Then we had the whole liver thing, and it was just kind of all, exacerbate, all happening. And Tayla, until I heard you do that workshop with Rochelle, where you spoke about skin and cycles, I think it was, and you took us through the female menstrual cycle, I never understood that I hadn't been cycling for like 12 years. So can you please just walk us through that a little bit? Like, you educated me then. Can you just kind of, because I think there's so many women who have no idea, right? And like, this is your life's work. But back then that was like, ah.
Oh, it's so cool to hear that. I'm so glad. And I remember the moment that it happened for me as well. It wasn't even that long ago either. And I kind of had this moment of like, whoa. So yeah, hopefully we can bring that to listeners as well
Just
today.
blow some minds. Let's go. Buckle up, ladies. You're about to see your uterus very differently.
Yes, exactly. Right. So the purpose of having a reproductive system in the body is for the sake of fertility and reproduction, right? But in order for that to happen, we need various hormones to fluctuate up and down. And they primarily run on 2 cycles. The first cycle is kind of the cycle where the brain tells the ovaries to ovulate or not to ovulate based on various feedback mechanisms. And the second cycle is where the brain and the ovaries are working together to tell the uterus to grow or to shed the lining. Yeah. And when it sheds, of course, is when you menstruate, when you have a period. So those 2 cycles are happening all the time, just in the background, just in the background. Sorry. Well, you're so right. Actually, maybe not so much in the background, because it very much affects things in our life. But I suppose we don't think about it. We don't have to, tell our ovaries to ovulate.
Yeah, just as much as we don't have to tell our lungs to breathe, right? As you say. Totally. Yeah.
Yes. So that process is happening in a cycling woman's body. However, when someone takes any exogenous hormones, which means like any hormones from outside the body, so if you're taking a pill, like the oral contraceptive pill, its goal often is to suppress ovulation. So what it's doing is you're kind of overriding that cycle of the brain telling the ovaries to do its thing. It's being overridden because you're getting exogenous information. You're getting these hormones in the body,
synthetically, basically.
Yeah.
So the body doesn't need to produce them on its own.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In that way, if you were to look at your hormones on a graph, let's
Mm,
say if the bottom axis is time and this is the amount of hormones, instead
mm,
of the natural ups and downs that are usually going on between the brain and the ovaries, when you
mhm,
take a pill, you're getting, think about it like the exact same dose of estrogen or a progestin or whatever's in there um, every day. So
mhm.
instead of this up and down dance of hormones, you usually are just getting a bit of a flat line
Yes.
um, graph going on. And that is how, just to say this, that's how the pill works as a contraception, right? As a contraceptive
Mm,
is because it needs to cut off ovulation. Otherwise, your risk of
mhm.
pregnancy is much higher when you may not want it to be. So it has its function, right? That's why it was designed. And it's, yeah, I don't know if you want to get into the history of all of that or not, but it was very, very useful for the sake of women's health and women's
Mm,
rights when it was
yes.
created.
Mhm.
Um, but we're talking about women who are cycling at the moment. Taking the pill does just mute the cycle whilst you're on
Mhm.
it, and it stops ovulation. So that can have
Yeah.
very big impacts on a lot of functions on the body. And I
Mm.
don't think a lot of people know about that.
No, they don't. And like, I am having flashbacks to, I still vividly remember that moment you drew that graph for me on your little notepad when we were in session. And like, I just like my mind was blown because somehow, by the way, for any women or men that may be listening who don't know what ovulation is, it's basically when we release the egg is ready to be hatched. Exactly. To be fertilized. And that whole time, I thought that something was still going on in my body because I remember telling you like I would take the pill for 3 weeks and then be off for 1 week, and so I would still well, what I thought was menstruate, and it somehow so happened that 1 month was heavier than the other. So I was like, oh yeah, because every other month we release it from kind of the other side of
Mm.
our ovaries, right? Is that right? I'm like,
I
I think
think
so.
so. I
Yeah.
generally, but it's not always the case. Yeah.
Generally, and I always thought that I was like, oh well, it's fine, like I'm not taking it for a week, it's totally cool. But can you explain to listeners what you shared with me then about the withdrawal bleed?
Usually, when you take those hormones, it's as if your natural your cycling hormones aren't happening. It's all sort of
Mm.
flatlined. So then the moment you stop taking those hormones,
Or
you
it's
can
like a sugar
imagine,
pill.
yes, that's right.
Mm.
When you take a placebo pill or a
Mm.
sugar pill, you suddenly don't get any of those hormones. And it's the sudden reduction in those hormones that tells that lining of the uterus to shed. So
Mhm.
um, that results in a bleed, and that's what people casually call a period, right?
Mhm.
But if you're on the pill or if you have some kind of manipulated menstrual cycle, like for someone who's taking oral contraceptive pill, that bleed is not technically a menstrual bleed, so to
Mhm.
speak. It's kind
Yeah.
of it's just a withdrawal symptom
Mm.
from temporarily stopping the hormones.
It's like the uterus hangover after a big night out of popping pills.
That's a funny way of thinking about it. I've never thought about it like that, but
I don't know, it just came to me.
yeah, I'm sure it would feel like that, especially if you're dealing with, maybe pain or, yeah,
Mhm.
emotional ups and downs when that time of month or that
Yeah.
time of the pill packet comes around.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for kind of shedding light on that because yeah, that was brand new news to me when I first heard you share that, and I think it's so important to raise awareness of it. And as a follow-up, like I know many listeners will probably be like, well, but then like how do I protect myself if say like I don't want to be using condoms or whatever it is. And I was on that journey with you as well where I kid you not, I went to the GP and I was kind of like, "Hey, look, I'm thinking of coming off the pill because it's doing all these things. Like I've got a growth on my liver because of the excess hormones that it was producing, etc. And um, I don't want hormonal contraception. So they tried to sell me the IUD, which, as you know, is hormonal. And then she went into, well, okay, well, your only other option is the copper IUD. which for those who don't know is basically inflaming your uterus, and that's how you're preventing pregnancy. When here I am telling them my story of dealing with skin inflammation, trying to reduce inflammation in the body. Cool, put something in that's going to inflame you even more. And then you came and shared that there is another way that we don't talk about enough. And so I would be really grateful if you could share that now as well, because I think this is the potential to change many women's lives.
Yeah, I do as well. But
Mm.
I just want to also start by saying, like, people decide to go on and off the pill for a variety of reasons.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with being on the pill, but
Mm.
it's all about figuring out your own personal pros and cons, right? Like whether
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be helping you, and yeah, if the benefits outweigh the cost.
Exactly. We're all bio-individual. And for me, that time was very much over. Yeah.
You had decided, yeah, this is the right move to take, to
Mm.
come off of it. Yeah, so there is another option, well, there was for you in your situation,
Mm-hmm.
which was something called the fertility awareness method.
Thank you so much for tuning into Resonance. If something in today's episode steered something in you, maybe just take a moment and notice what's resonating and what isn't. No judgment, just awareness. And remember, you're not broken. You don't need fixing. You are just naturally responding to a world that's been a little bit too much for a little bit too long. And perhaps you feel called to follow the show, leave a review, send this episode to a friend, or text it to a family member. Anything you do will really support this show and will be really appreciated. You'll find both links in the show notes below. And until next time.
I can already feel anyone listening to this sort of go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, if this is anything to do with some weird pull-out method or whatever, the timing, then I'm out. But hear me out on this, because it's there's biological backing to this process. But anyway, the basis of fertility awareness method is you have a look at your body's signs and symptoms, and you use that information to determine what your hormones are likely doing, and therefore whether you are more or less fertile on any given day. So in the case where someone might be wanting to avoid conception, or let's say, then they might track their symptoms, and let's say either they might abstain from sexual intercourse or use condoms on various days where there might be higher chance of conception. And there's also another thing that not many people know, but as a cycling woman, you aren't able to get pregnant every single day of the cycle.
Thank you. Preach it, sister.
Such as, I feel like we were fear-mongered into believing that we were just hyper fertile through health class in high school. I don't know about you, but yeah, it was very much the case in my education. But anywho, so the best way, or the most kind of like scientific way of understanding your signs and symptoms throughout the cycle and tracking your fertility risk throughout the month or throughout the cycle is through tracking your basal body temperature, which is your natural body temperature when you're at complete rest. And I'm so
speaking of sleep.
Yeah, speaking of sleep, it plays a big role.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's very relevant. And you were such a great client to learn this information, because you took it and you ran with it, and you were so good at following the instructions, I suppose, and following the lifestyle.
I have a Virgo rising in my astrology chart, so that's probably why.
I love it. So the process is that you track your basal body temperature every day, and you should naturally start to see a bit of a trend. So if someone is ovulating normally, let's just start there, because not everyone is. That's a very, very important
we'll get to that
here
as well.
Yeah, let's start with normal, right? So if
Yeah.
someone is ovulating somewhere in the middle of their cycle and are
Mm-hmm.
therefore usually more fertile around ovulation, by the way, because that's when you have the opportunity to fall pregnant, is when you ovulate. But the trend of your basal body temperature, if it was on a graph, it would start off fairly consistent and low in the first half of the menstrual cycle. And then as soon as you ovulate, it'll rise and
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
stay it'll rise. And you've noticed some shifts, I know, because you shared some of your charts with me, which was great. But yeah, your body temperature rises and it stays risen for the remainder of the menstrual cycle until you bleed and a new cycle
Mm-hmm.
begins. And the reason for that is because as soon as you ovulate, you start producing this beautiful magical hormone that we all need more of, called progesterone.
Mm-hmm.
And it has many roles in the body. One of them is to kind of hold the lining of the uterus in place so we don't get spotting or menstrual issues in the latter half of the cycle. But primarily it's there to help nourish a growing fetus should you conceive.
Mm.
But one of the other side effects, I suppose, of having progesterone in the body is that your metabolism slightly increases. And with an increase in metabolism, your temperature rises. So as soon as you ovulate, you start producing progesterone and your
Mm-hmm.
temperature trend changes.
Yes. And that's often why we're also feeling a little bit more tired, a little bit hungry in that second half of the cycle, right? Because our uterus is literally preparing like a cozy little nook for a potential fetus. It doesn't know that nothing's coming. And it's
Yeah,
just, it's taking a lot of energy to do that.
absolutely. Absolutely. And
Mm.
that's, don't even get me started on that. But yeah, it's just another thing that, yeah, not many people know a heck of a lot about, and
Yeah.
therefore unable to maybe serve their body in the best way. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we get some clash between the way we live our life and the way our hormones want to live, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, especially in a male dominated world. I will just name it what it is, it's sort of the day is structured to follow a standard like testosterone cycle, which is the 24-hour cycle generally. Versus the female body, yeah, has a lot more to adapt to. And I love that we're bringing this out into the world because the more people know, I know Rochelle's doing a lot of this as well. It's just like the more we can raise awareness, the more we can start to accommodate things like, sometimes I will like work from home on specific days of my cycle just because I know, like, I'm like, it's the last place I want to be is the office, and like interact with people, go away. But now I know why, rather than just kind of walking around blindly thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me?
Such powerful information to have
Mm-hmm.
about yourself, I think. I mean, that's,
I agree.
yeah, something
Yeah.
that very much drives us.
Yes. And I do want to kind of share how I've been doing this, which is what you recommended, right? I still wear my little Aura ring. Got that
Oh,
here.
amazing.
And I sync that to the Natural Cycles app. So I'll link all of that in the show notes for people who are like a little bit curious. But that app is FDA approved in the United States. So it is officially recognized as a contraception method. And also people can use it to get pregnant because again, you work with your fertility window and kind of adapt based on that. But I just think it is so cool. And it's been, I think, almost 2 years now that I've come off the pill, and my cycle, it took a good, I'm going to say 9 to 12 months, as you say, a year or years for it to stabilize after being on the pill for 12 years. And now it's like clockwork. Like, it is so cool. I know when I'm ovulating. I know when my bleed's coming up. I can plan like my months around it and say if, like, for example, like right now we're doing this podcast recording, I'm approaching ovulation. I'm chitty chatty as,
Woohoo!
I'm like,
Fun.
let's go. Versus say
Amazing.
like, the first week of my cycle, I'd probably be like, nah, ain't scheduling nothing there. So there's power in that knowledge. Yeah.
Absolutely. There is so much
Mm.
power in that. And yeah, just I wear my aura ring as well.
Oh,
So we're both almost there.
cool.
But just to make the connection, the aura ring or some other smart devices like the newer Apple watches, I think, track your temperature for you.
Mm,
And that links to the app, which then tells it whether you're on green days or red days, which
mm.
green is representative of more safe days or like lower fertile risk, and red days higher. Just to connect some dots there. But
Yes. Thank you. I like take it so for granted. So I appreciate you pulling that because I was just like have my charts in my head already. I'm like, it's so cool. It's
yeah,
just like this
yeah,
repetitive
yeah.
pattern. But yes, it measures your temperature, which is what connects it all.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I'm so glad to hear that you find that fascinating as well. I know you
So
incorporate it
cool.
into your work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which I am so eager to hear more about. Because you love to work in the nervous system space,
Mm-hmm.
right? Stress
Yeah.
management for yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I am really like in my personal and work life, I've embraced that cyclical nature so much. And I really love teaching it to people as well, because as soon as we learn how to work with our bodies, we can set ourselves up for success rather than, expecting to go and like run a marathon on day 2 of your period. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
just exactly right there. And speaking of stress, that's obviously something that both you and I and every other human living on this modern planet experiences in our day-to-day life. But I would love to hear your perspective from like whether it's naturopath, nutritionist, or even psychologist, or all of the lenses combined. In your words, like how does stress show up for us, and what does it actually do to our body, mind, and spirit?
Mm. Oh my goodness. It has such a wide reach.
Mm-hmm.
Such a wide reach, as I'm sure a lot of people have some lived experience to um, to be able to prove that. But what it how it shows up, I suppose we can start there. Um, in my world, like my professional world and personal world, it changes my hormones quite. Um, the connection is quite close, and the change can be quite dramatic in some instances. There's
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, one connection and impact that stress has, and again, stress is such a wide, it encompasses so much, right? Like I was saying before,
Mm-hmm.
it's not only like physical stress, like someone going for a run, or any
Mm-hmm.
small stress on the muscles, that's still stress,
Mm-hmm.
even if it is helpful. Um, but it also can be like a source of there could be a psychological source of stress, like maybe you're going through a tough mental time for whatever reason, or
Mm.
I'm sure everyone can think of at least five
Moving
things that
house.
could
I mean,
be
like
totally.
the top 5 stressors, I think it's like moving house, a newborn, a death in the family, uh, changing jobs, and breakups.
Marriage, yeah, or
Yeah.
yeah, break
Or
down a
or the other way
relationship.
around. Yeah. Relationship.
Yeah,
Mm.
yes, right. So those are could be huge. I guess another way that it could show up is physiologically, like if you are unwell, if you catch a virus,
Mhm.
it's technically a form of stress. Your body has to work really hard to overcome it or fight off the bacteria. Your immune system's activated. Various inflammatory markers would be up.
Mm.
Um, so stress shows up in a lot of different ways, and its impacts are pretty wide reaching. But one area that I see a lot and have experienced myself is the connection between that wonderful hormone I was talking about before, progesterone,
Mhm.
and stress. Um,
Mm.
so progesterone, the reason why I'm saying it's such a beautiful hormone and everyone needs more of it
You
is
love
because
progesterone. We all
absolutely
do.
love it. Yes, and if you don't, if you learn
You
more
will.
about it, you will. You will exactly. Yeah, and I guess if you've seen me talk anywhere, I always praise progesterone.
Mhm.
But So it's a hormone that has a lot of functions, like I was saying, in the uterus, right? Primarily kind of makes the uterus lining nice and juicy and ready,
Mm.
nourishes the lining ready for potential conception and for a baby. But it also has some effects on the brain. It's known to be what's called GABAergic, I believe, which is a term that kind of it promotes sort of like the similar feelings that GABA, one of the neurotransmitters, would give you. So it's a bit more
Mm.
like calming,
Ah,
relaxing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful hormone that has that effect on the brain.
Hmm.
Uh, but where am I going with this? I'm saying
When
that,
it's
okay,
not there.
stress. When
Yeah.
it's not there,
Stress.
thank you.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah. When progesterone is not there, you don't feel those wonderful, like rejuvenating GABAergic feelings.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, stress, unfortunately, it's sort of any of those kinds of stresses, it sort of robs um, your body of the potential to make a good amount of progesterone,
Mm.
which is really, really important to remember, especially as women or people who are cycling, really. Um, because if you're stressed, I mean, you basically if I brought out a big biochemical chart, I'm not going to put everyone through that,
Oh,
but
I would love it. I'm like
you'd
ready
be
to nerd
so
out.
for it. Yeah.
Show me the charts, Taylor.
Oh gosh, we'd need like an extra hour, I think. But basically, the flow of hormones, it eventually gets to a fork in the road where the body kind of has to choose where it sends its resources, either to create this beautiful hormone called progesterone,
Hmm.
uh, or to kind of make more cortisol and hormones that help us deal with stress. And so you could imagine if somebody is stressed, and like I said, we probably all can think of 5 things off the top of our head that are stressing us out right now. We
Hmm.
all feel it all the time. But if it becomes a chronic problem, let's say it's
Hmm.
been happening for a few weeks or a few months or a few years, you can imagine that you're going to have less resources available to create enough progesterone, and that's going to have some negative flow-on effects in your cycle, but also in your mood and how your brain kind of behaves, and therefore, yeah,
Mm.
your general mental well-being and emotional health.
Yes, that is so potent. And also like your skin as well. I
Oh
think what
yes.
you shared in your journey, obviously that was kind of the warning sign that showed up for me when I first saw you. And tell us a little bit about skin and its role as kind of, the largest organ of the body. Because again, that was like another like aha moment for me.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess much like what I was saying before, that the body, it has a few resources that it decides where it sends them, like
Hmm.
progesterone and stress, or cortisol. The brain's constantly making decisions like that any moment of the day. Um,
Mm.
so how do I put this? I guess there's a hierarchy of organs in the body that the brain is trying to prioritize and keep functioning
Hmm.
well. And of course, at the top would be things like your heart and your lungs and all these
Hmm.
vital organs that keep us alive. That's a no-brainer, right? But as the
Hmm.
list goes down, skin unfortunately ends up really close to the bottom. Um,
Yeah, I think it's like below digestion, even, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And so, unfortunately, like if there is a lack of resources or a reason for the body to be shunting its resources elsewhere, then skin suffers a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, when you think about survival from a biological perspective, our skin, like having glowy, dewy, beautiful skin, although it's lovely, it's not as important as, you know, helping you digest food and get nutrients to
Mhm.
stabilize your blood sugar or something. Like
Mhm.
there are a lot of functions that top having beautiful skin. So
Yeah.
when people show up with skin issues into my clinic, or yeah, they start realizing, oh, I'm having some issues with my skin, that's often a big sign to go, oh, okay. So
Mm.
what is either stealing my resources, or what's requiring
Mm-hmm.
my resources right now? Um, or yeah, is this a sign of something deeper? I think that's kind of
Yeah.
it's a big clue.
Yes, and that's kind of what the case was for me. And when we first started our work together, right? It was, I mean, there was so much. Now that I look back on this time, there was so much stress, and it was physical, mental, emotional. It was just like an absolute just overwhelm. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. And so yeah, no wonder that my skin was kind of blowing up and almost attacking itself, like with all the flare ups. And it could show up as that, but it could even be things like I was speaking to a friend this weekend who had a cold sore that wasn't healing, that you mentioned earlier, like that physiology, or like really brittle nails, or eczema, etc. Like so many people get little allergies and eczema when they're stressed. It's like, hey, what do you think that is?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that's so true. When we really tune in, we can start to hear our bodies and hear maybe what it needs, but um,
Mm.
maybe even before that, just that something is wrong. It tries to communicate with us in some kind of way, like often
Exactly.
mm,
Yeah. Like every
something
time
will go
something's
wrong.
happen, or maybe whether it's a symptom or just feeling, like sometimes we just feel a little bit meh. Yeah, and those are all signals. Like the body's so intelligent. It is always sending you signals of either this is great, I love it, you're doing so well, or that doesn't sit right with me. We need to course correct. And like either we listen and we course correct, or we ignore and we push through, and the signals unfortunately just get louder. I mean, I think we all are, as you say, navigating it every day, and we all have stressors, but I think there is a difference between stressors, because those are inevitable, like those are going to show up in our lives no matter what, and then how we deal with that stress. And so I would love to hear from you, when things get a little bit much in your life. I mean, right now you're doing it all, right? Like you're running your practice, you're also working in a practice, you're doing the masters, like that. Those are already three massive stressors. Um, how do you recenter yourself, and what are some of your go-tos?
I have a lot of go-tos, and
Mm.
you're so right in saying that it's a never-ending process to try and manage these things. And I think much like you, I'm a little bit of an overachiever, and like hardworking soul,
Mm.
often to the detriment of my poor nervous system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vegas nerve.
Yes. I know, right? Like, oh, sorry.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it is super important to me to it's not even just important, it's essential for me to try and
Mm.
constantly work on these management strategies,
Mhm.
um, for the sake of not only my hormones, but just, mental well-being, social well-being,
Mm.
physical
Mhm.
health, everything. Um, some ways that I personally really like to uh, try and manage it, um, yeah, keep my nervous system functioning throughout all these pursuits, I suppose. Honestly, the biggest one would be journaling. I find
Oh,
that
nice.
really powerful.
Mhm.
It's a practice I've been doing for honestly 10 years now. It's been a really long time. And granted, the first 5 years of that was kind of like a line a day. I kept like a line a
Yeah.
day journal.
Mhm. I got
But
one of those right now.
oh, do you? Oh, they're lovely. I love them.
Yeah.
But
But even then, sometimes I'm like, ugh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely spent a few days like, oh, got to catch up on 3 weeks of liner days. But yeah, I attribute that to setting the the goal, sorry, the habit in place for me. But the
Mhm.
the later 5 years, I've been it's been a more of an intentional practice. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, sitting down and typing. I find typing is a bit
Ooh.
quicker.
Do you journal when you type? So you don't do handwritten?
I don't, not anymore.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
find it's
cool.
a quicker way to, well, I can type faster than I can write, basically.
Yeah, ditto.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I can,
Mm-hmm.
get more into a flow state, I guess, and just write out my thoughts
Mm.
much quicker. But I do
Mm-hmm.
find that journaling is such a good way. I know that there are great studies out there about the benefits of regular journal practice
Mm.
on mental health and just emotional processing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish it was a habit for everyone, just
Yes.
based on the benefits that I found.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
but yeah,
I
I do
agree.
really find that you like it
Mm.
as well.
Yeah, I like I was saying earlier, like, ugh, that one line a day. It's because I have like multiple journals. And I do a bit of like reflection at the end of the day, but then it's just like having I feel like I travel with like three journals now.
Oh, really?
It's like each has its own little purpose, but as you say, it's so, especially free writing, as you say, getting into that flow state. Sometimes things come up that you didn't know because you start to tap into that unconscious. And yeah, I find it really powerful, especially if I'm feeling stuck or something's going on, to ask a big question and then just free write. No grammar, no whatever, no spelling, just whatever comes out. And then often something really potent unveils itself.
Absolutely. And that's such a good point. People often ask me, what am I supposed to write about? Like, how do I do this?
Mm.
And I mean, I'm happy to share my process,
Yeah, please do.
which, yeah, sure, which I have done with many people before, but I literally start by just saying what I did that day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's always how it begins. And that sounds really boring, but I promise you, once you get into that, you will find something in there. Your thoughts will start to go, and you'll start to pick some things up. Like, it could be
Mm.
as simple as, started my day with a cup of coffee and a croissant, and then I went to, oh wait, I had a croissant for breakfast. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had a croissant for the last 3 days. Like, maybe that's maybe not the most nutritious breakfast, or you pick up these
Mm.
patterns.
Yeah.
You follow your thoughts and you find something in there that can lead to some insight. And I really think that momentum comes through reflection and insight. So
Yeah.
that's the way to get it,
It's a
really.
really powerful practice. Yeah. So that's like one of your key essentials. Are there any others that are like non-negotiables for you in your practice?
Yeah. Um, Exercise is a big one. I mean, it's a big
Mm.
endorphin releaser, which definitely helps me. I feel the instant effects for that. So things like, honestly, chasing a ball, like playing sports, is really great. Um, I absolutely, that's a non-negotiable. It's part of my week.
Mm.
Um, but another one is maybe less uh, tangible, but something that I don't know if I'm strange for doing this, but let's see how it sounds when I say it
Mhm.
out loud. But it's thinking about my, it's about leveraging the resources that I have around me, I guess is the
Mhm.
snapshot version of it. But let's say I'm having a cup of coffee, right? And most
Mhm.
people just have coffee either to wake them up or maybe get their
Mhm.
bowels moving or whatever the case
Yep.
is. Um, but it has a bit of an effect on your brain. Some people more than others. For me, I
Mhm.
feel the effects.
Mhm.
It kind of helps me stay focused
Mhm.
um, or anxious. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
gotta
Gotta be
it's
careful
a
with
fine
that.
line.
Mhm. You're
Yeah,
talking to the girl that can't even drink green tea anymore. So yeah, I feel you.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so for those who like can have caffeine,
Mhm.
knowing that it has some kind of effect on your cognition, for example, um, leveraging that I think is such a powerful tool to kind of help you feel like
Mm.
you're on top of your game and sort of making progress in in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a cup of coffee, it's like I don't want to waste the potential that coffee could give me. So I make sure that the first 2 hours, or I think it actually takes like 8 hours for coffee to really metabolize
That
properly.
sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least the first couple of hours, when I notably feel the effects, I will sit down and like either try and work or do something that's cognitively
Mm-hmm.
a more of a mentally difficult task, so I can sort of use the caffeine.
Yeah.
Um, and similarly, you could apply the same concept to like your motivation levels. For example, at the moment, I'm trying to manage a few different tasks in a day. Some are
Mm-hmm.
more rewarding than others. Some are a
Mm-hmm.
bit more laborious. Like all about it as a postgrad student. Like
Yep.
a lot of reading articles, a lot of writing things
Mm.
down. Just
Oh.
totally, totally just boring stuff. But
Yeah.
obviously, it needs to get done, right? So,
Yeah.
um, knowing that as soon as I wake up, I'm probably going to have um, a decent amount of motivation sort of stacked up
Mm-hmm.
from
Being well
sleeping.
rested. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Key nugget right there.
right there, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to use that and leverage it. So I'll make sure to do the boring tasks first and then sort of reward myself. Kind of tap into your
Mm.
like neural chemistry and leverage the dopamine um, that I do have. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of waking up and doing something that might give me a massive dopamine spike, like scrolling on Instagram Reels.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, to try and leverage
Yeah.
what
It
I
does.
know?
It sounds like you're working with your body and like speak of cyclical living, right? Like cyclical living isn't just our hormone cycle. Well, I guess our like female reproductive hormone cycle, but it's also our day. And like if you know your chronotype or you know that you're more productive or you feel more motivated in the mornings, and then you're going to have that coffee, which you know is going to kind of alter your brain chemistry to be even more alert, and you're using that to your advantage, right? And so this information is power. That's definitely resonates a lot, and everything you've shared, right? Like from the movement to the journaling to um, this incredible way of being really smart with how you structure your life, I guess, in a way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
because that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And I'm very conscious of your time. So, as we look to, I don't know where the time has gone, to be honest. It's
It's
like,
flown
we're gonna,
by, it really has.
we're gonna have to get you back because there's so much more.
So many things to talk about, right?
So much to talk about. I know, and I'm
Mm.
just loving the vibe as well. And so I guess for today, as we wrap, I have a little question that I ask at the end of each episode, which is if there was one thing that would resonate with the listener from our conversation today, what do you hope that one thing would be?
I like the notion that knowledge is power. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's really super powerful. The more you know about your body, the more you can apply that
Mm.
knowledge into real life, right? I think in order to actually apply that knowledge and not let it overwhelm you and become a negative thing, uh, reflection and insight is so important on your own body. So things like, it's the journaling really is really
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to get at, I guess. But yeah, insight brings reflection,
Yeah.
which is how you use knowledge as power rather than letting it overwhelm you.
Exactly. And so what I'm hearing you say is that, like, whether it's through journaling or some other way, it's asking ourselves questions and not just accepting what is at face value. Because, like, if we just take things for granted as they are, they're just going to stay exactly as they are. Versus
Yeah.
as soon as you start looking deeper, you can start to make some more conscious choices. And then you maybe decide to have the croissant for breakfast for a fourth day in a row, or maybe you decide differently. Maybe it's a pain au chocolat. Who knows?
Beautifully put and beautifully pronounced as well.
Oh, thank you. I lived in Switzerland for a little bit, so there's a bit of a je parlais un peu français, but not too
Oh, there
much.
we go. Love
All the
it.
French speakers will be like, "Oh my God, you just butchered that." Oh,
Oh, amazing.
amazing. How can people find you, Taylor? I mean, I cannot recommend you enough. I am just, mm, it felt right to move our relationship into this next stage and kind of, close working together because, I mean, to be honest, like you've set me up for such success that I feel like I'm thriving. And also, I know you've got so much wisdom to share. It was just like, it felt selfish to keep you to myself. So, for someone who's listening, they're like, oh my God, I need a Taylor in my life. How do I get in touch?
Well, I'm on all the social channels at Tailor Made Nutrition. I have a website, Tailor Made Nutrition. But much like you, I think ever evolving. So who knows what kind of, places you can find me next. But for now, Tailor Made Nutrition is
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
But
amazing. And we'll link it all up in the show notes as well so people can find you and follow the incredible insights that you share. There's so much that I learn from you still every day. And grateful beyond measure for you coming on today. This is so enriching and it was almost like quite a wild walk down memory lane for me as well because as I sit here with you and like reflect on our journey together, I realize how monumental a lot of what you've shared today has been in my life. And I know for a fact that it is going to influence and ripple out into the world. And it's just, a real honor and privilege to share that with you.
thank you so much. And it was an honor and privilege to work with you and also to be a guest on today's podcast. I'm, really grateful. So thank you so much.
Wow, this episode was incredible. Like, I really hope that you have walked away from today's episode with something to take and contemplate on because some of these downloads, some of this wisdom that has just come through is like really what pivoted my life quite significantly. And I think Taylor put it so powerfully at the end, emphasizing that knowledge is power. And so my invitation for you from today's episode is just how do you start to invite curiosity and reflection in your life? Like maybe from our conversation, or perhaps it sparked something broader. What is one area in your life that maybe needs a little bit more of your attention? And if you're not sure, maybe you kind of take Taylor's advice and just start journaling and notice what comes up, because chances are there's definitely something. And we're not going to move forward if we don't actually look at where we are first. Like in order to get from point A to point B, we've got to turn location services on and honestly look at point A. And so I would encourage you to look at point A, have a look at what's going on, and start to dive a little bit deeper in the insights that are arising for you. I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next week where I will dive in a little bit deeper about cyclical living and how I implement it in my day-to-day life that has helped me feel more energized, be more productive than ever, and honestly learn how to not just work with my body, but also nature and everything around me. It's going to be a juicy one. You're going to love it. In the meantime, have a beautiful week ahead. Lots of love. Bye for now. Okay, quick pause. Let's just take a brief moment to take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. How yummy is that? Hey, if mindfulness has ever felt confusing or too hard to start, I created a free online course called Live in Presence, 8 Days of Mindfulness, to help you come back to yourself gently. You can sign up for free using the link in the show notes below at liveandhealth.co or through the link in my bio at Live and Health. The views and opinions expressed by guests on Resonance are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of me, Viktoria Levenberg, Live in Health, or anyone working within the Live in Health brand. This space welcomes a diversity of ideas, experiences, and stories, and part of Resonance is learning to take what aligns and gently leaving the rest. Also, while I am a national board certified health and wellness coach and deeply passionate about well-being, this podcast is intended for educational and inspirational purposes only. Resonance does not substitute personalized medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. Always seek guidance from qualified professionals for any physical, emotional, or mental health concerns.